G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping. G'day, listeners, and welcome back to another epic ramble of bullshit and education from your favorite podcast hosts, myself. Aaron just tags along.
Hello. When I feel like it. So apologies for the echoing and stuff. I don't know what the sound quality is like with these headphones in. So if you need me to talk up, let me know how to talk up and scream.
He's doing the typical online coach flex are you in a cafe or in your room?
I'm in my room, bro.
Would have been so much better if it was a cafe.
I mean, I've got a coffee if they count. I mean, I finished it, but that's fine.
That's fair.
Bro, double espresso, $2. I see why people move here. I'm going to move here for the fucking coffee, yeah?
Moved the entire life just for a $2 coffee.
Dude.
So he's in Bali, by the way. That's what we haven't established yet. He's in Bali.
I am in Bali. You know me. I don't like to promote this shit. I'm away on holiday while doing work still. Working holiday.
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
Surely. Problem for my account.
It's work that he could still be doing here, but he's over there instead. Work.
Yes, I mean work is always fun. Well, handy. Been a good day. Been a good day. I think landed what's today? Thursday. We usually podcast on Wednesday, so everything's fun being thrown out. So I flew in yesterday. No, day before. Tuesday night. I landed at like midnight. And then yesterday I went to like a beach club. It was fucking sick. Just sat there all day. Did nothing.
Yeah, nice.
Fucking perfect. Honestly, the perfect first day. Had like $500 of food credit, right? Like, so when you pay for like, again, you know me, like, usually you've got a private bungalow because that's what I do.
Why not?
Yeah, it was cheap-ish. And then you have $500 of food credit. Like, I'm talking 500 Australian food credit.
Oh, that's a year's worth of food there.
So, like, they give you the menu, and the thing is, the menu, like, because it's like anywhere in the world, you go somewhere, like it's pricey, right? But their pricey, or their version pricey, for those listening, got air quotations going on, is like the same price. It's like $4 for a can of Coke. And when you go somewhere, it's like at a restaurant at home, it's $4 for a can of Coke. So I'm like,
yeah,
okay. And by the time we finished, by the end of the day, I'd spent like $200 Australian, so I still had $300 in credit. And I'm like, well, can I just take the cash, knowing that they wouldn't give me the cash? And they're like, no, but you can take a couple of bottles of wine or something. I'm like, sure. They're like, yeah, pick a couple of bottles of wine up to the value, or one bottle of wine to that value, and we'll give it to you. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, if these guys are giving away $200 bottles of wine, they're not $200. Like, clearly not. So I grabbed the 2 bottles of wine, and I came back, and I've got, the Vivino app where you can check how much it costs in Australia.
Yeah.
So the $100 bottle of wine that I picked, it was $30 Australian. And the $160 or $170 bottle that they gave me was $45 Australian. I'm like, look, it's the gesture, it's the thought. I'll allow it. So I've got 2 bottles of wine.
Just so you know, you're wrong though.
Yeah, I'm like, I've got 2 bottles of wine sitting here. I'm like, do I just start? Like, fuck it. Past midday in Australia.
It's fucking 2 at once.
Yeah, literally. But anyway, life's good. Can't complain.
Mate, doesn't sound too shabby at all.
No, a couple of the boys are up here, which is pretty fun. So randomly ran into them. Just like, oh, like met a couple of friends, but then there was one that like I hadn't seen and just randomly rocked up. Like I turned around, I saw him like looking at me, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?"
Oh, bro, fuck off.
Like standard Bali, like fucking all the Aussies.
Nice. It's funny. It's funny though when you go there, because that's like literally all you do, right? Like you're going to an entirely different culture, but you just end up back with Aussies anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. Like you come here and you're like, it's like, like you wouldn't know, but like in Melbourne, for those that listen from Victoria, it's like, especially Italians, like you're in East Brunswick where I live, and it's just all Italian that it used to be. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the beach, and you go to like a beach where there's all the Italians, like from the hood. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, I didn't want to come here and see you guys. Same Australia. You're in Australia, you go to Bali, see all the Australians. Like, fuck that. Come
on. Oh, 100%. They're in Thailand. Like, and the funny part is there's always that one friend who hasn't been before and wants to do everything, or like thinks everything has to be an event.
You're like,
Yeah.
bro, I just want to go on a holiday, chill out. Like I'm just going there to sit.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's like it's Bali. I'll come back if I want to go travel, but it's like I'm just chilling out.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been to both Bali and Thailand. I was that guy the first time when I went to Thailand. I think it was the first one. Yeah, Thailand was the first one. And I was like, the first couple of days, I'm like, fuck, what is there to see and do? Because I love culture and seeing shit. I'm like, I love just, especially historical stuff like you see around like the temples and Buddhist, the giant Buddha and shit like that. Like, I want to fucking see all this shit. People I went with are just like, we'll get there eventually. Chill out. You got 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. So if you be there for a while, you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake. And it's like the first. Don't get me wrong, I get it. The first time you go anywhere, you want to go see some shit. Like I get it, but it's like I've been to Bali 4 times. But it's Bali. It's cheaper for me to go to Bali.
Relaxation.
It is to go to fucking see you in Brisbane.
That's fair.
It's like fuck it. You know what I mean? So it's like I've been here, like Thailand as well. I've done a few times. I think I feel like whichever one you go to first is the one that you're gonna like the most. Because most people that I speak to and ask, like Thailand or Bali, it's like they'll say Bali, and it's like okay, but which one did you see first? And I'm like, well, Bali. It's like yeah. So it's like I went to Thailand first, I think, before I went to Bali, and I love Thailand.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, exactly.
It's like I like the culture. I like the street food better because there's more of it. There's more variety. Whereas the street food here is just like really either fried food or like nasi goreng, which is just rice and veggies and some seafood or chicken or whatever you want to put in there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's fucking phenomenal. But there's just more to do. In Thailand, it's more culturally still like there's the culture that's still more in depth compared to here. I think that's because it's become really Western. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. When I first went to, I think it was, where did we land? We landed in Bangkok, stayed there a couple of nights, then went to Chiang Mai, and then went to there was another Phuket. So yeah, I think it was like first couple of nights in Bangkok. I was like, got immediately shell shocked with the like the smell, the temperature, the humidity, like the air was different. And then from there, I was like, I want to go into actual Bangkok. And then you actually get to see that hustle bustle, like Asian capital city lifestyle. And just everything is lights, everything is flashing. There's a million cars going a million miles an hour. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? And then you just start seeing all these back alley like food places. And you're just like, what the? Pretty sure I had crab for like $5. And I was like,
bro,
what the fuck is this?
I just had some rice last night with just chicken and stuff. And it was like $5 delivered. Yeah, I'm like, 100%.
There's a reason why we as bodybuilders go over there.
Yeah, here in Thailand, right? Like, because Thailand's just as cheap. It's just fucking sick. But anyway, little things
we enjoy.
Yeah, literally everything here, like all the drinks, like a can of drink. I'm trying to find my other one. I think I threw it out. $1. Everything here is $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a mini mart like right next door to me, and it's just like everything in there is literally $1.
I'll still haggle though.
No, it's convenient. No, convenience store. Fuck it. And then go to a coffee shop down the road, and they actually make good coffee. Like it's, you know me, I'm a coffee snob. Like if I'm saying it's good coffee, it's good. It's fucking good coffee.
So it's like you take that, number 5.
You take that shit to the fucking grave if I'm telling you it's good coffee. And these guys make it for $2. I'm like, bro, across the road. I'm like, forget it. I'm set. I'm coming here for life.
I've got $5 chicken and rice meals made. I've got coffee.
Right, and that's delivered. I don't even have to go get it.
That's pretty good.
And I've got Brazilian barbecue around the corner.
Is it actual Brazilian barbecue though?
I think so because there's a couple of them here, and I think so. My old man comes here, and he's coming here on Friday. He was telling me that there's a Brazilian barbecue that's really good around the corner. I'm assuming that's the one that he means. So naturally, I'm going to make him go and him shout because it'd be rude not to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's like, Dad, let's go for dinner, but you're shouting.
You know how I'm your son still, and like you got to pay. Isn't that the deal?
Yeah, 100%. Anyway,
it's mate. How's other things? Training, work?
Yeah, good. Life's good. It's gonna be a busy back end to the year. I think a few little changes. You know me, when I go away, I always end up changing everything again. So it should be fun.
I'm gonna get 4 messages being like, "What do you want on your check-in sheet?" I'll just leave it.
Nah. I'm not changing my check-in sheet because I don't give a fuck about your subjective shit. You know how many people that I speak to and they're like, "Oh, like so and so's check-in sheet has like this question," and I'm like, "I don't care." What's your one win for the week? I don't give a fuck what you did that night. Don't care. Hey, you woke up, you won. Good job.
What was your morning routine? Don't give a shit.
Yeah, like I'll help you implement these things, sleep hygiene routines, 100%. That's what I do. I don't care about your subjective shit. I care about your objective shit and the subjective shit that I need to know. Not,
Yeah.
hey, what was your one fucking win? But again,
I
that's
just
just the clientele. Like, I don't work with that clientele.
Yeah, I just laughed with Rowan yesterday. Where I was like, because then you were up here for the comp, and it was like talking
Yeah,
about how robotic you need people to be, not need to be, but like obviously you've identified who you work with, right? And like
yeah, yeah,
me being like, bruh, point
yeah,
and shoot, and I'll go. And then versus like say Rowan, who I've had to put a lot of work in as coach
yeah.
and client friend to kind of get into that place
Exactly,
of being that way. And I'm
exactly.
like,
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, I don't think you guys realize. I
yeah.
didn't even realize what
Show
you get
them my
from me.
yeah, yeah. Show them my check-in process, and then show them your check-in process.
Yeah.
And be like,
Yeah, that's
this
that's
is
all
where
you
we're
need to see
different.
where the where
Yeah,
the difference is and why you're with
yeah,
me.
yeah. I bet like 100% you send like 6 to 10 minute fucking Loom videos. Like
Yeah,
I
six
can
minutes,
imagine.
mate, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mine 3 minutes max.
Yeah, I know.
And
I know.
I was talking to Luke in the US, and he's like, I don't get how these coaches fucking send 10 minute videos. I'm like, thank you. I don't get it either. Like my coach Joe, he sends me like 6 minute videos, but he's rambling for three of them. Like the
Yeah,
info that I need is 3 minutes. I'm like, yeah, cool. Like he's just you know
yeah,
catching up. Like, and that's fine. I get that, but I'm like, I don't need to catch up with him. It's
yeah.
like if you get a 4 minute video from me, like it's a hectic video. Like it's 4 minutes of like you
Something's
need to
wrong
sit
here.
and listen to these words.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get to points mostly because they're guys I'm trying to build to a position to get to the 3 minute video.
Yeah, no,
Because
no, of
like
course, of course.
I've already got to a point where I realize I can be even more efficient with these guys, and our 30-minute catch up calls and stuff were they weren't even taking away what we're talking about. Whereas if I narrowed it down to like, let's just implement these three things. But then even
Yeah,
from that, I'm like, I need to see you implement these three things. And here's how you're going to do that. So it's like, we'll cut down from a 30-minute video to like a 6 minute video. But at the same
yeah,
time, it's so that we can isolate in on those few things. And then eventually you just become someone who ticks the boxes. And all of a sudden, like the main reason why I'll go through those questions, for instance, is that eventually you get to be someone where, telling you how to track your nutrition isn't a win. It's just simply a fucking job. Like it's just, oh, that's done. And it's kind of like that. I guess the difference between having the robot that's already been built to trying to make the robot, I guess.
yeah. Exactly right. And don't get me wrong. It's like I've been doing this for years. It's not like I didn't have the clients and the
Oh, of
check-ins
course,
where
for
it was.
sure.
Yeah, like it's not like I didn't have those check-ins. Like, hey man, like what's been going on? How you been feeling? I've done that. I've been there. Like I think when people listen, they're like, man, he's a dick. I mean, I am, but
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
also I
Once you
did the
start to remove the
caring
fluff
thing.
and narrow down what's needed.
Yeah. It's like I've done the caring thing. Like, I get it. And it's not like I don't care about the clients. It's just like to what degree or what fashion and how do I care for my clients that are like me? Because
Yeah.
I don't do subjective shit from my coach. Like
Mhm.
there's nowhere on my checking sheet with the coach. What was your one win for the week? Bro. I don't give a fuck. What
Mate,
problems can we tackle? And what I don't understand? I know some coaching sheets and some coaches again work with that client, like ask what they could have done better for the week as a coach. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, if they're still with you, stop putting the thought in your head or in their head
Oh
that
yeah,
you
yeah,
can do something better every week. Maybe once a month, sure. Like, hey, anything you need from me that I could have done better for the month,
yeah,
sure. Every 3 months, fucking every quarter, like, sure.
yeah. Quarterly assessment.
Once,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, like every week, like, bro.
yeah. Why are you pumping the
Like,
idea in their head that you suck?
well, that's it. It's like, and then because I feel like as a client, if I saw that every week and I don't put something in there, like, am I doing something wrong as a client because I'm not putting out something that the coach could have done better? Like, it just
Yeah,
puts this other thought in the head. But anyway, I mean, each to their own. Fucking whatever.
yeah.
I don't
No, that's
care.
that's not my line of questioning. I mean,
Track,
I
track
think,
your
I think,
food.
like,
Track your food. Do your training sessions. Hit the goals. Good. We're good. Moving on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the part I realized was I need to have those questions because of where my background is. What I talk about, the people that come in, they need that questioning because
Hmm.
they're so they see the psych study and the psych content and like that sort of shit that they'll if I don't have those questions, I know they'll lie. I can see with the question then where like a couple of my clients went out on the weekend because they're mates and they went out together and nowhere in their check-in did it have anything about their weekend's alcohol consumption or not get enough sleep or whatever it was, and then they woke up feeling not shitty, but they woke up feeling off, and like all of a sudden there's a weight spike, and I was getting a question about why is my weight going up, and I was like, well, I saw your Instagram and I saw this. So when I tell you to fill out the question sheet, because I know you're trying to learn how to do these things, you didn't tell me this was planned. So we didn't preamble with like cutting calories or giving you strategies to make it easier. Like that is why the question box is there, because you aren't an elite athlete yet that can intuitively do this. We need to have skills. So when you come to me with that and I'm like, hey, here's the box. You can't say, oh, well, you didn't give me tips. I didn't fucking know because you didn't tell me.
Well, yeah, and there are some clients where, like, you'll need to do that. Don't get me wrong. And it's like, and I say it as a joke, like, I'm like, I'm a dick. I'm not. Like, a lot of my clients will probably be like, no, like, he's not a dick. He's a big soft top. And it's like, sometimes. But it's just like, it'd be, pretty much. It'll just be a message like, hey, man, like, you good? Like, what's going on? Well, it's like, clients like, I can't do this. Sweet, let's just do this. Like, don't stress. You know what I mean? But they're in messages. I don't do them in the check-in. It's like, man, 3-minute check-in and next. In saying that, when people are like, oh, you know, you take the 2-minute video. Yeah, but I spend 5 or 6 minutes assessing the data and looking at the trend.
That's something I've noticed from like, I should just do that.
Yeah, well, and it's like, I do know, especially like newbie style coaches that are getting into this like more and more, like they'll go through the check-in as they're recording. And it's like, that's probably why it also takes so long, because you're assessing and sort of talking about what
I call myself doing that.
Yeah, and honestly, we all do. It's happening heaps of times. But like, I'll look at all the data, see what I see, and then go through the photos and stuff and be like, okay, cool. Now I can make a clear, concise video where I'm not second guessing, or it looks like I'm second guessing, if that makes sense. Because to me, I feel like that would look less professional than a 2 or 3 minute video that's clear and concise. And it's like, hey, this is what I see, this is what's happening, this is what I think's going on, this is what I want you to work on, these are the photos, this is where we're looking at, blah, blah, blah. Cool, have a good week, goodbye. Need me, let me know.
I started realizing that was probably your approach when I realized that is like my change of approach. Like, because I was going through and I'm like, and they'd write like, not novels, but like they'd write feedback and then there'd be some data missing, there'd be something over here, there'd be something over here. I'm like, okay, I'm like trying to find it and put the pieces together on the video. I'm like, wait, I could just be doing this off the camera, because now I'm looking like I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly right. So for those that are coaching and you want to do your check-ins more efficiently, look at the data beforehand and then make the video. Anyway,
that's fair. Or you do what I did and record like 3 check-ins in a row with the mute button on, and you got to re-record them. Or you pay for Loom and Loom freezes and doesn't actually load the video, so the client gets it and like, hey, this
you know what? How many times I've done that where I've had, I think, these headphones in, and I'm like, oh, I started speaking or whatever. I've done, luckily, again, 2-3 minute videos. And like one of my clients is like, look, luckily I've got the captions because I can't hear anything. But obviously somewhere it's broken down. So your audio is working, but my audio is not. So they're just reading the captions as it goes on. I'm like, sweet, I don't have to re-record it then. We're good.
Closed captions always. So basically what you're saying, closed caption your check-ins.
Exactly right. Always a good way to go about it.
Anyway.
Talking post-show wrap up.
Yeah, bit of a post-season wrap up. We have completed season A for Big Mickey. He was the only client I had on stage this season. There was a few that I was mentoring and providing some feedback for and stuff in the background, which is really good. Coming out of, I feel more responsible coming out for them with their health phase and stuff as well, which has been good. Getting them in a better metabolic capacity and a bit better health focus, easing off supplementation and our exogenous supplementation stuff, make sure they get back into life in a healthier position. I know people have a lot of fear around things like T3 and T4, and it's going to ruin their entire pathway and system, and this will shut down and blah, blah. And let's just reverse out of it properly and, ease off stress, and all of a sudden the HPA axis doesn't intervene as much, so it's not as big a deal. But yeah, so we got Michael coming out of the show properly. And basically walked away with 2 second place medals and nationals.
Yeah, great outing.
Pretty fucking good races.
Considering he came second to like the super heavyweight, he came second to Mike, who won his pro card. Like, not a bad second.
And I'm going to say it wasn't a clear, it wasn't a walk in the park win though either. Like, Michael got moved around first to third to second.
Yeah, like Michael had a good competition, especially in the overalls, but in the super heavies or whatever, that's who Mike came. Mick came second to. And like, don't get me wrong, that dude's awesome. He looked fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, he looked
size, shape, condition, but again, he's a super heavyweight. Like, he outweighs Michael at least 15 kg in muscle.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, and
Like,
Michael still came in and came second. Like, pretty fucking good effort.
yeah, and from there, like some of the feedback I got backstage, like people were asking me if he was doing under hundreds, and I was like,
Yeah,
no, dude. It turns out when
no,
you get really
100%.
lean and you fill up properly, you just look full. Crazy, crazy thought.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
He
so
looked
you
fucking
got two place, second place in bodybuilding, second place in classic. And to be entirely fair and fair cop to Jewett's client,
yeah,
had he have known just had he had that more flow to his hip shift, he gets
yeah.
first place, no question.
Yeah, like I said to you, man, it's just this posing. But again, it's something that it's an easy fix. It's
Yeah.
not like it's something that you can't do something about. You know what I mean? Which
Well,
is awesome.
I think it's an easy fix when you understand posing well. But with someone
Yeah,
like him, where like he's not intuitively controlled of his limbs and his flow and his structure,
yeah,
where like, for him it's kind of like moving an action man, where like the humerus
yeah.
joint
It's like
moves, so therefore the
yeah,
elbow
it's
moves.
literally moving. The skeletons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the anatomy chart skeletons. You just
Getting him
have
to
to like
recognize that the knee can flex and extend without the hip flexing and extending. Like
and
it's like
but
that
again,
where
that's just going to be practice. That's just going to take
yeah,
practice
exactly
and
right.
hands-on, literally practice, hands-on work. Like it takes time, and this is like probably a lesson for those that wanting to compete. Like especially with posing, like don't leave your posing to just prep. Like if
Oh
you're
yeah.
going to, if you know that you're going to compete, like you're confirmed. Obviously, you're going to have a growth phase into your prep phase. Start posing from like that growth phase, like 6 to 8 months out. Start
Mhm.
fucking posing because if you can get posing condition and posing flow in your growth phase when you're like fucking
Yeah.
fat, it's just going to be like second nature when it comes to cutting and stuff like that. And when you have less energy and all that sort of shit, and like you can just go through the
Yeah.
poses, not have to think. It just flows. It feels good.
Well,
Like
that's like when people say that bodybuilding is not there's nothing to the sport on the day. I call bullshit because on the day is posing. You can literally be
yeah,
like the one thing we can control on show day is
yeah,
posing and posing condition, which obviously is work leading up to it. But that's no different to rugby league where you get to the grand final, you still
yeah,
have 20
exactly.
weeks of training beforehand to got to the grand
Yeah,
final. It's
yeah,
the
and all
one
the
thing of
plays that you've
performance
done
related
and everything.
orientation we
Yeah,
control.
well, yeah. Imagine like all the plays that you've run for the season. Like they're second nature. Like you know what to do. You don't have to
Yeah,
think, and that's kind of the point. Like you don't want to have to think too much
that's the
on
point.
the day when nerves are high.
Yeah,
Everything is fucking. Your arousal is through the roof. Well, okay, what's your bread and butter? What's your posing?
exactly. And like, don't get me wrong, he practiced like his improvement from where we started to where it was fucking night and day. But that
Yeah,
just showed even further, like just because for some, don't look at someone who's a classical poser and really well with it. Like me, for instance, when I'm in shape and I have the rotation ability, my posing is really easy to me. It comes quite
exactly.
naturally and it comes quite confidently. But I also understand then how to correct things and improve things for myself, and I can assess it better. If you're someone who's
Yeah,
quite rigid and stiff, you're going to require more work. Whereas, say, like myself, when I have to get conditioned, I have to put more work into conditioning. It's part and parcel of the game. I think a lot of people just sort of like, just brush it off as this last minute thing. But like we said, you look at where Michael finished up, or he could have finished up in Classic, his posing of his shape was the difference between second and first.
yeah, and that's exactly right. Yeah, it's the one thing he probably couldn't control in terms of size and shape, but also like the one thing he could control would have been the posing. But would that have also got him that first place versus who came first? I'd probably say not, but that's just a personal opinion, obviously. Like we don't know. Um, but he was fucking phenomenal. Like he was conditioned as fuck. Like
Oh, man. Like,
his condition was
the
like it was conditioned as fuck. Like he couldn't muscle much more. But the smart play was to go into the under 90s like he did. Like he fucking killed it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that like there was no one in the 90s, I think, that was more conditioned or detailed. It was just simply they had more musculature. Like that was just
Yeah,
simply
yeah.
it. There
It
was
was
just
literally
shorter,
muscle
denser
and
dudes.
yeah, muscle and flow. Like in the under 90s, because it wasn't first timers, it's like these are guys that have competed in the under 90s before. And the guy that won the under
Yeah.
90s, like he was fucking phenomenal, but you can tell he
Yeah,
had
Rigo
so
fucking thick.
yeah, yeah, he had some muscle maturity on that boy. Like
Yeah.
fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
So
just a
yeah,
matter
so I
of
mean
time.
like exactly. And the craziest part to me, the thing that I love is that Michael just loves to train and he trains for acting, trains for his life, trains for in general what he wants to do. So like he's pretty much just said it's up to me we give him a direction of where we want to go with movies and roles and stuff. And basically, I get to just pick his weak points and fill up that spot while we still keep him like popping for movies so he doesn't get out of shape. I mean, you see the photo I shared if you look at my Instagram on his recap of the season.
Yeah.
His off season we got to 110. His growth block we got to 110. That was still a pretty tight 110. Like it wasn't
that was a lean 110.
Yeah, that's a pretty tight dude at 110. And we pulled down to 103 to start prep, and then he executed to 87 with 88 with depletion. So, he was pretty fucking lean and pretty tight. So, I can still keep him in that actor level fullness and pop and condition. He hasn't had any roles yet where he's got to take his shirt off, so it's more about making him look full and look poppy and like have the muscle bellies around. So he's basically giving me full run of these are the roles I'm looking to get into. As long as I'm in shirtless shape but not required. Basically, as long as I'm still agile and can move in my shows, pretty much it's up to me to then just like fill in weak points and keeping training. So
so it's like getting him big at a rate where he can still function.
Yeah, exactly right.
Not true bodybuilder off season, can't move, need to sleep 5 hours a day.
Exactly right. So, I mean, end of the day, he walked away with a 5-medal season, which is fucking impressive. Like,
take that every
one. What do you? 1 gold, 3 silver, and a bronze.
Bro, even finishing like top 5, top 3, like that's phenomenal. When he's finished fucking top 3, he missed one category, right? Like, what was it? Open 90s he missed, and like under 90s he was top 5, or is he top 8?
No, he didn't get call outs for under 90s. I think he got 7th. He was dead center.
It was just the 90s that he did. It was everything, but everything else he finished like top 3, top 5.
Oh, you make call outs for everything else except under 90s.
which is phenomenal. Like, it's a fucking joke. I don't think it's not like they were class, and they're not like they were classes that were shallow. Like, they were stacked. They were deep classes. Like, they were fucking 10 people plus classes. Like,
yeah, like the statement I was given was basically 90s or super heavies will be the 2 contending for the pro card.
Yeah,
that's how deep the 90s.
Yeah, exactly right. And we saw that, right? The overalls, fucking the 90 guy was fucking. He was on. You're like,
they were fuck.
Yeah.
It put into perspective for me just how much I need to do under hundreds because my frame is too tall for those cunts, and like I'll just get smoked every time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, overall, man, like now basically we're just moving into a well, given him this week off. Basically, just have some fluff training, have some fun, move some weight, be relaxed, be chilled if he wants to. He's got focus on work, so got to get that back up for him. And then he's going to start he's basically put his feelers out to his agents and shit and said, hey, like, I'm getting fed now and getting my health back and season's done. So we got like photo shoots planned for him, I think, to get some like theme content for his portfolio. Kind of once he's away from that really sharp lean look and just has that more rugged jacked look. A bit more like Hemsworthy kind of thing. So we have a bit more portfolio reels to play around with and that sort of shit. So I'm just gonna start filling back out. We'll get some bloods done soon. See what his post.
So surely someone makes like a bodybuilding series or movie and he can just jump in it.
Oh, you'd think so. Just do a short.
Like, I'm ready. Straight in.
Yeah, I'm here now. I'll do the peak stage shots. You get someone else to do the off season.
Just make the series now.
Hang on, you're cutting out.
So just make the series now.
What?
Make the series now.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're cutting out. Sorry.
Internet.
Yeah. So we've got him trialing my post comp health template that I mapped out. I've got some basics and stuff that I put in there. Just things around like still implementing cardio, like steps and activity, being mindful of food integrations, being conscious of free meals and stuff like that, aiming for like 90% accuracy, 80% accuracy of tracking. Nothing hectic where it's like full on obsession, but it's reintroducing life at a gradual rate to get healthy and get body fat back, get his weight back to homeostasis, and then we start growing and putting in off-season plans.
Yeah, 100%.
Should be fun. Should be a fun time. And now I've got literally hopped off the stage, got home Sunday Arvo after the show to start uploading everyone's plans for the Monday for season B.
Yeah, good times. It's going to be a fun season.
The other people are like, oh, you guys taking a moment to celebrate and hang out? And I'm like, oh, we went and got burgers and stuff, but I got more clients to go to work. Like, bro.
Yeah, it's like, what did you do post show? Got grilled. Of course you did.
Yep. Yep. That was what he wanted.
When-
He's a very I mean,
Simple
his
man.
carb days consisted of like brand. The dude loves brand.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is
Bro,
wrong with you? Cunt?
man, I'm all for it. I'm here for
Like,
it.
how often did you shit? And he's like, oh, so good. I was like, fuck.
New
That fucking
peak
fiber
week.
intake.
Yeah, peak week food.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much. And that was like, yeah, post comp, he's like, I want something like easy on the guts but still enjoyable. And fucking at that point, a burger's gonna be a burger.
Fair.
I'll give it to him though, because we're backstage, we were looking at the table, sort of like me. We looked at the table and I was like, none of that's really appetizing. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
it's like they spent $50 at Coles and was like, this will feed everyone. And it was just like, like in about 3 hours time, I'm gonna eat something better than that. So who cares?
Yeah, that's also true. It's like, and that's the thing. I think the table's more there for just like notoriety. It's like, okay, if you really need it, if you go on hypo, grab some food.
Yeah. That Slim's been pumped in. You go, maybe grab some carbs.
Yeah. Oops, took the wrong syringe.
Was that supposed to be 40 or 10? I did 40.
Yeah. Well, more carbs. That's fine. Fill you right up.
Yeah, that was a fun just a different strategy, different ploy, different tactic, like we sort of talked about already, because we knew it was going to come out the day before the show, so again, like going from a 3-day gradual ease off to 2 days of heavy eating. He was very, very fucking. He basically just told me his cravings were gone after the Friday, because he's like, I had like a 9-hour window to fit in 1,300 carbs.
Yeah,
I was like,
but I mean,
do it.
but look at the look. I think the look was better.
Oh yeah, it was fucking worth it. It was
Yeah.
worth the push, like to really like, because we managed to flatten out about an extra kilo. So we got from like 89, I think it was, like a high 88, very low 89, down to like a low 81, 87. Because the show scales are always different. The show scale said 87.8, but his scale said 88.1.
Yeah, which is like the same with powerlifting. Like we all know, like your home scales, and you're probably going to take a kilo off when you go to comp scales.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're underweight on your home scales, you should be pretty safe.
You should be fine. You should be fucking fine.
Yeah, you'd be very unlucky.
Yeah, so you'd be fucking unlucky if you shot up over scales on the day with the difference that they have.
100%.
But yeah, so we end up bringing in 1,300 carbs Friday, 600 carbs Saturday. It was good. We just hovered him around the 91 mark until depletion week. 3 days of pulling him down on the Monday, and then pretty much introduced fats Thursday, which just slowed his hunger down a little bit, slowed his loss down a little bit, hovered around that 89, 90 mark, and then woke up Friday morning. He's just like, yep, bang, I'm fucking 88. I was like, sweet, we're good.
Exactly.
Start having your water, start having some food. But
yeah, I mean,
such is
success. I think that's the easiest way we can go about it. Was successful.
Yeah.
It worked.
It was a fucking, mate, every person that I hold respect for, that I communicate with around coaching, was like, that's a pretty good season. I'm like, fair enough.
Don't get much better than that.
More gold to be nice, but whatever, I'll aim for that next time.
Yeah. I mean, you'll be right. Don't be greedy.
I want five golds instead of one. Instead of one.
That just means the next comp will be interesting.
Yeah. No pressure to every client listening to this. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Again, we're not going to be
like,
angry or mad. We're just going to be disappointed.
Different.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had a few clients that are like, I like really feel the pressure now. I'd like make sure I perform. I'm like, no. You're looking at it the wrong way. That's not the lesson to take away here. What pressure you should be feeling is seeing the boxes that he ticked every day to get to that result. As long as you do that, you can walk away with your head up. That's all that matters. Don't look at that and go, oh, Ben's expecting gold medals now every fucking season. You look at that and go, did you give me a fucking it's like the scene off Remember the Titans, and he's like, all right guys, like that the game where they're looking like they're gonna lose. He's like, as long as you go out there and enjoy yourselves and did your best and know that's the best you can do, that's all anyone can ask of you. And then old mate Campbell's like, actually, sir, you asked us to be perfect.
Yeah,
you've given your perfect effort up until this day. We'll be perfect. And I was like, that's literally all you can take away, is that each day should, like, you accumulate each day to be perfect. And the more of those you get, the better you get. And the result on stage will either take care of itself or it doesn't, and who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly right. At the end of the day, you give your all, and that's all you can do. And it's like, if you can turn around at the end of the, the end of the comp, the end of the season, whatever it is that you're doing, and say, "Yep, I gave everything I had." Done. Wherever you finish is where you finish.
Uh-huh.
That's all you can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, like, we're in Bali and the internet's supposed to be fast as fuck. What's going on? Anyway, let's move to questions and we can leave the other topic for next week.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good.
Because I mean, I don't know how much longer this internet's going to last, but we'll see. What
That's
do we
fair.
got? Advice for hitting macro targets when traveling.
Advice from hitting macro targets
Yeah, while you're traveling.
for travel.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends. Like, it's going to depend on goals, how close to those goals you are, the intensity of like how accurate you want to be. There's a lot of semantics that go into or nuances that go into that question. But let's say it's like a lifestyle client or a gen pop, I guess, more that are simply trying to be healthier and I don't know, improve body composition and still get a decent result. My general advice is more so be close to or hit your protein and your calories, and you're gonna find you're gonna struggle to hit carbs and fats accurately, give or take the way people cook food. Now, if you're a bodybuilder that's going to be away, you're going to do things like find the grocers and the locations, make sure your kitchen has a kitchen fucking a stove or a microwave or boiled kettle. But if there's gonna be the things like eating out and stuff like that, a really easy way is to apply Dolt's like fucking Dolt's fat tax, which is a really easy strategy to do. Is that every chef is not giving a fuck that you're tracking food or that you're dieting. They would make stuff taste good. So you equate for your fats by adjusting 20%. Allow for them to have variation and increased variability to what's said on the menu, because what is supposed to be 20 mils of oil or fucking sesame seed oil is probably going to be 50. So you let that fucking equation take place, and then you just control for things around that. So maybe you don't eat as much food elsewhere because you know that these meals when I eat out are probably not going to be as accurate as they say. So it really depends on the type of person, the type of goal, and how accurate they're trying to be. There's always a way. Like Jesse's going to be traveling to Italy during prep for work, and he knows he's going to have a place with a kitchenette. He's going to find a place, make sure it's got a microwave. Yeah. Most locations are going to have something to cook and be able to get the same sort of groceries you have here, just in their version. So in prep, if you're going to travel, that's the expectation I set. If you're just someone simply trying to improve body composition, we just make different strategies.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. It's always dependent on the severity of the goal, right? Like if you're competing, it's like a set of guidelines or rules and strategies. And then if you're just a Gen Pop client wanting to get a little bit leaner or grow a little bit more, then it's a little bit of a different story as well. So it's really just for me when traveling, depending on where you travel to, I really like packeted food. Like barcodes, man. Barcode saving. Even when I'm home and I'm real lazy, which is 9 times out of 10, like barcode. Fucking barcode that shit because it's gonna have most of the stuff logged anyway. And then it also gives you space to fill with whatever it is that you want to have that you may not be able to track. So usually my favorite strategy to go with.
Agreed.
We got 20 to 30-year-old female HRT. Why would that be required? Benefits and drawbacks. I don't know if we spoke about this. I can't remember. I know I've spoken about it a couple of times. Maybe off camera we spoke about it. But female TRT, HRT in bodybuilding is becoming more and more prevalent. It's an interesting one. The dosaging is obviously very, very low, like insanely low. Like I've read, anecdotally, I've read people, prescribing to clients anywhere between sort of 0.5 milligrams up to a milligram per kg a week. I think based on where they're at in their training and their I guess progress to stage. So it's like if they're going for a pro card, they might be on the higher end. If they're just sort of, going through the motions and see if they like it or whatever it is, they might be on that lower end. There is a difference between TRT and HRT. So TRT would be testosterone only replacement therapy in females, used from a performance standpoint as well. Don't get me wrong, as you get leaner and go through the stages, like your testosterone does tend to crash. Happens in males, also happens in females. we would start to see that the TRT replacement style or the testosterone replacement style for females can help build tissue while mitigating, or you're trying to mitigate the side effects of androgen use. So that's why you use such a low dose. It's kind of like year-round gains in a sense. The trick
Yeah.
is obviously keeping the side effects at bay. Like the whole virilization and hair and
Yeah.
acne and all that sort of stuff, the deepening of the voice for females, while still trying to get gains. Now, my concern with testosterone in general that we see in guys as well as females is the aging that it has and the effects of aging it has. Like you look at a guy and like I know everyone listening to this thing has seen this, and like you look at a dude and you're like, how old are you? And the dude's like, I'm 24, and he looks like he's 50, and you're like, it's usually due to androgen abuse, like taking
Yeah. Yeah.
loads of testosterone and other androgen based hormones, because androgens are what age and sort of age males basically from a physiological standpoint. So it's what puts us through puberty and all that sort of stuff, and what grows our facial hair and all that sort of shit. So taking that to the next level and abusing it is obviously going to have some effect on aging. So I'd be curious to see in the next sort of 5 to 10 years what happens with female TRT, HRT. I mean, I can see its benefits for athletes. I'm just concerned on its drawbacks. Again, I think it's always going to be the dosage and abuse of. There are like the guys in England, like Physique Collective, the Physique Collective, and that team and Team Pro Coach and stuff who use female TRT with their athletes. And there's a couple of good coaches there worth following to have a listen. Then we do have the other side, which I'm always a fan of the other side. PhD researcher Victoria Felker in Canada, I want to say she's based. She does bodybuilding, or she had done bodybuilding, but she's also got a PhD in, I want to say it's androgens in females, or along those lines. So it's like she's very, very high and well known in female hormones, and female will say endocrinology. I would be probably listening to her as well when it comes to her TRT stuff. Female TRT, obviously. She has a bit of a different view, and I guess just finding that middle ground, right? But I don't think we're going to know until it's properly studied, because the studies done on females for TRT and androgen use are actually done in like 60 to 70-year-old females, or done in females with like menopause and stuff like that. So it's like always, studies are limited by what it is or who they're studying it on and who they apply to. So it's like we can look at the numbers and take the numbers, but does that apply to like a 28-year-old, 30-year-old female who's healthy and competing? Probably not. So
it does.
It's like one of those things, man. It's like rat studies. It's like, well, can we apply it? I mean, we could, but it's like, is it going to be exact? So it's like, well, what do we talk about? How do we go about it? But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's how I'd sort of address the female TRT, HRT. I don't recommend or prescribe or suggest TRT in females yet. I'm still not convinced on it, if that sort of helps. I don't know if that helps, but
yeah,
I mean,
that's
Paul
fair.
Myra. What is the drug guy? What is the link between steroids and addiction working? So
between what?
What's the link between taking steroids and penises not working? Erectile dysfunction. And it's funny because it's like usually testosterone use isn't really affiliated per se with erectile dysfunction. Usually it's the cure for erectile dysfunction in males, right? Because we know that testosterone drops as we get older, and as we grow, right? The thing is, and I think a lot of people forget, especially in like the world of anabolic androgenic steroid use, the more that you take, the more of a problem that it costs or can cause, even if it's just testosterone for erectile dysfunction. Because you have to have a balance of testosterone, total testosterone, free testosterone, and SHBG. So if you have one of those skewed, SHBG is what binds testosterone into like your tissue, and basically gives you, it goes from total test, like it's free test. So it's like, if you don't have SHBG at a rate that keeps up or is in line with your total and your free testosterone, there's every chance that you're going to get erectile dysfunction. the more testosterone you take, the more that you basically take in terms of testosterone, the more skewed that SHBG marker is, and usually the lower it goes. So to combat that, like you can take things like where I think progesterone or progesteron is a really good one for SHBG. Boron is pretty good for SHBG from memory too. They will help, but it takes a bit of time. The other option is you just take the testosterone and potentially use something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because usually you take testosterone to help with erectile dysfunction, or it is a form of treatment for erectile dysfunction.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I always thought was really fun. But hey, here we are.
Good thought. Devil in the dose.
Yeah, as usual, right? But it's just funny because most people don't realize that taking too much testosterone can be a bad thing. Like in terms of getting laid, like it can be. But yes, that's what I've got for Christmas.
All right, I'll pump a few questions out of the way because we kind of already answered in the show. How did the weekend go? Very, 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 very good. We were again the largest audience in the crowd, as well as Michael's result was quite good. So again, sort of putting matter on the forefront of the performance realm, I think, is a big deal for us. So that's pretty cool. Biggest takeaway from this prep. Biggest takeaway from this prep is there's always room to be better at something. Being able to, I guess, hindsight is 2020, right? That's a great thing. But looking back at like things like little differences we can make, and even when things go perfectly well, it's also a perfect time to then assess where it could be better or improved, how can it be systemized or made more efficient. Some questions I hit Michael with was like, feel free to find ways to tell me that we could have improved communication or understanding or comprehension of changes, strategies, things like that. So that's always open there, I think, as a coach to be criticized, if you will, or constructively criticized. In all aspects, Michael was basically my most perfect prep so far, and everything went well. Everything was quite good. Tick boxes, did his job. Just kind of so that basically from this point, I was like, well, we could have tweaked posing a little bit differently. We could have done a few other things, made posing more mandatory every single day from further out. So little things like that, knowing that it was something we struggled with. I think that the biggest takeaway there is in regards to improving is just always being critical of, it was a great season, but you can't get stagnant with being a coach and say, oh, well, that's it. Like it was a good season, so leave it at that. No, you got to reflect and see how I can do it better. I think the biggest takeaway, I guess, in a positive sense, was the feedback and the critique from everyone in seeing what we do at Matter. The amount of people that had positive feedback in the way they saw me being hands-on with Michael or being so involved in his process and making sure that he wasn't just a number getting on stage to me. It's kind of not a standard we want to set, but I guess it's I can't change the coaching game for everyone, but I can raise a standard that the standard has to change. So if you start seeing more coaches be hands-on, well, if you start seeing, someone get a really good result and a coach is very invested and looks at you as someone to be fucking proud of, that they're excited. Like I can, without a doubt, and everyone will attest to this that was at the show, I was more excited and nervous for Michael than I was for my own season, without a question of a doubt. He was backstage chilling, doing our warm-ups, doing our pump-ups. He's fucking hanging out, and he's just like, are you all right? You're fucking more antsy than me. And I was like, yeah, bro, I'm good. This is just what I do. It's like, I give a shit and I want you to do well, so I'm making sure everything's perfect. It's like, that's what I got to do. That's all I can control as a coach. So, yeah, I think that was a big takeaway for me, was the feedback I received from third parties that, perhaps don't see the ins and outs completely, but still managed to see just how much I was invested in Michael's result. And that's something that we intend to keep for every client.
Yep.
Focus point for post-comp, already sort of touched on that, is basically get him healthy, get him reversing out and growing and back into his movies.
Yep.
Metformin and reversing out. So I introduced metformin to one of my girls before the show, before her seasons. I think it was about 8 weeks out. She came to me for some extra strategies and help for season A. She was absolutely gobsmacked on the response that she received from metformin is like a glucose petitioning agent, but also the effects that it had on keeping it. Way that she had so going into show, I was depleted on 30 carbs, and I was like, yeah, that's good. That's what you want. That's a great position to be in. Eased off everything else, so like there's nothing else in there, no other agents that are going to be assisting her, and she's still running metformin as she should. It's a great antioxidant, and so now she's just receiving the benefits of it, if you will, and it's just something I'm going to keep her running for fucking forever. Just keep taking it. It's realistically only positive. And yeah, so now she's like she's seeing the changes. She's reversing out of her show and her season with a bit of fluff, bit of fun training that she's doing with her coach. And now she's like, holy fuck, I can't get over the difference on my carbohydrate intake and also the utilization of those carbs on taking metformin.
Well, yeah, that happens when we use a glucose disposal agent.
Shocking.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. I mean, the crazy part is, even still to this day, like the amount of people that aren't aware of non-androgenic drugs that can improve things. Yeah. Like we're still in this world where people think like the immediate step of like, I want to enhance and make myself better is steroids, when we have so many tools at our disposal that can be utilized across a prep in different periods for different things, or just in life.
Yeah, it's starting to change, but there are better things for females to use. The thing is, we have females that use androgenic steroids, and it's like we do have those that like don't get side effects, or they look a certain way, and then other guys are like, well, I just want to do that because I want to look like that, and it's like, well, you can. It's just we don't need to use anabolic androgenic steroids, but it just might take you a little bit longer. And again, it comes to that timeline where it's like, well, I want it now. It's like, okay, sure. Take trend then, fucking send it.
Yeah, just fucking send it. See what happens. I mean, like even other things like getting utilizing as well as lipolytic. I was like, we don't need to look at just jacking up orals and jacking up injectables. If we can do things like this, and you already have a natural predisposition to some larger muscle mass in your legs as a bikini wellness competitor, then doing that, that's easy. We can just add that in, and you're still going to hold the muscle tissue. Yeah, train fucking hard, keep protein up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all I got. That's it for me.
Beautiful. Well, this internet keeps cutting in and out, so a few times it froze. So I'm gonna try and get Dave to clean it up. I don't know if it records or not. So okay, we'll see. Well, fuck it, we'll find out.
I had some great commentary while it's freezing, so that's fine.
Well, it froze when you were talking about the metformin part. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, it broke back into the last one, so we'll see. Oh. But next week we should be able to do it back from home with internet that works.
Just stop watching porn while you're in Bali. It's not hard.
Can't help it.
Is that 41 tabs open? What are you doing?
It's actually 51. You can't see the other 10. All right, guys and girls, as always, thanks for tuning in. We will have a chat with you next week. Any questions, concerns, always throw them up in the question box. Goodbye.